Well, today starts a very fun detail for this upcoming week, and we have a brand new Model 3 Performance Highland in the shop today. And this is actually the first one that I'm going to be detailing. As of recent memory, literally just a week and a half ago, we had the same exact spec Model 3 Performance here, owned by my friend Brandon TeslaFlex, and he actually got his entire vehicle wrapped in stealth paint protection film. But on this one today, we're going to be doing a full new car vehicle prep. That includes paint correction, includes polish, includes a 5-year warranted ceramic coating on the paint. We're also going to be removing the wheels, ceramic coating everything in there, dialing in the suspension, coating the interior seats, getting this thing protected for years and years to come. And I'm going to bring you along the entire detail. So welcome back to another out of spec detailing video here from Clear Detailing in Northern Colorado. I am absolutely pumped for this one, so let's jump into it. As I said, I am super excited for this detail. My first time getting my hands on the new Model 3 Performance and spending some serious time with it. We're probably going to spend around 30 to 40 hours on this vehicle, getting everything absolutely dialed in, getting the paint absolutely perfect, and everything ceramic coated. So quickly before we start here, I just want to take a walk around the vehicle, talk through a few different things that have come up on the Model 3 Performance and how I'm going to tackle this. So first off, my amazing customer Jeff picked up his Model 3 Performance just days before Brandon picked up his exact same spec Model 3 Performance as well. And he has told me he absolutely loves this thing. Jeff has been an amazing customer of mine. He's owned multiple Teslas, multiple Rivians, and this is his latest acquisition. And he said this thing is absolutely awesome to drive. So really, really thrilled with that. Now this was picked up at the same dealership as well as Brandon down in Denver, which was the Aurora Service Center. And man, we are going to be seeing a ton of stealth gray Model 3 Performances. The reason being, this is really the tax credit spec, if you will. $54,990 with a stealth gray and either black or white interior. Really the only color you can get on a Model 3 Performance as of right now that qualifies for the $7,500 federal tax credit. This car is just an insane value, especially here in Colorado, because we also get another $5,000 state tax credit if you do qualify for both. So this thing is really a low $40,000 rig here in Colorado, which is absolutely insane. Now, a few things I want to touch on with the new Model 3 Performance is we have, of course, new bumpers. One of the things that is a little bit different here on the new Model 3 is all of these diffuser areas and front splitter. One of the things that makes it different is this material down here is no longer a cheap textured plastic. It almost looks more like a painted piece, but it's painted in kind of this satin texture on here, so more akin to what's here on the side of the actual windows, which I think is a very nice touch. It really makes the car look a lot nicer. As you can see, this entire splitter down here has that same texture on it, so we'll be talking about how we're actually going to be ceramic coating more of a satin painted texture. Now, if you're curious, this is normally what those textured plastics look like with basically, I would say kind of cheap trim, if you will, and I would say this looks a lot nicer. Now, one thing I've been noticing with the new Model 3 Performance is how much brake dust they actually have, and this one is absolutely no exception. If you didn't know, these are somewhat similar of the brakes to the previous Model 3 Performance, like this one over here, but with new race-inspired pads. And from my kind of seeing and experience with these cars as of already, the pads are a lot softer and create a heck of a lot more brake dust. So if I come down here, look at what is coming off of these wheels. And he's only driven this a couple hundred miles now. So that is going to be a serious issue. And one of the reasons we're going to ceramic coat these wheels on the face and the inside, as well as the calipers, to make sure that brake dust comes off extremely easy. Other than that, what we're going to be doing on this particular vehicle, of course, is doing a full paint correction polish and then ceramic coating the paint with Geon Infinite Base Type 1, a 5-year warranted professional application only, full strength ceramic coating. Super thrilled with that. And then lastly, let's just quickly look here at the interior. So of course, the new Tesla bucket seats, man, these are absolutely stunning, and we'll be, of course, ceramic coating these as well as what we did with Brandon's vehicle. So I'll have 2 test samples to see how the new Leather Shield Evo is actually working. One post that I made earlier when Jeff actually picked up his car was the headliner up there. He had smudges all over it. He actually looks like he got that out, so that is really nice to see. When he picked up his car, he actually had an entire cracked sunroof up here. So this has already been replaced on the vehicle. I'm hoping there's not a ton of really deep scratches in this, but we can absolutely get those in either way. So first off here, we're gonna start with a quick decontamination wash, getting it ready for the actual paint correction. I'm not gonna worry about the wheels as of right now. When I do compounding, it just creates an absolute mess on the car. Compound dust everywhere. So I don't really worry about getting all the nooks and crannies right now. Basically get the paint washed, get the glass washed, get it super, super clean so we can do a nice paint correction. Then it comes back out, gets re-washed. At that point, I do go in, clean the wheels, remove them, get the suspension dialed in, get all cleaned. It then goes back into the bay here. It then gets polished, then gets ceramic coated. Then we do the interior and all the final last little details. So this is probably gonna be a little bit of a long one, and I hope you enjoy it, but let's get washing. We are all washed up here on the Model 3 Performance now, and we are almost ready for paint correction. So before I ever do a paint correction, I like to walk around the car and see what kind of condition the vehicle's in. Now I have to be totally honest here. This car is in very good shape with some exceptions. There's a few areas that of course need some love. The whole rationale and point for having it here for a paint correction and polish and then getting it ceramic coated. So what I've done, I've spent 15 minutes, give or take here, walking around the car, just notating some areas here with some green tape for you guys to be able to see. Now, of course, new cars do not come in perfect. Contrary to popular belief, some of these cars come in very, very bad. This one, on the other hand, is actually quite decent. A few little sanding marks here, some scratches, some areas where, putting in the new sunroof was of concern, and just some general scratching here and there. So I'm going to walk you through everything I can see here. Now, the whole rationale for having the lights off is that it's actually easier to film. Now, how I do this is with one of these. This is my Scan Grip light. Now, this basically mimics the sun, if you will. So when the car is outside, you can look on here and see exactly how the paint's looking. And I will tell you straight off the bat, we're gonna struggle doing this. It's hard to show on camera. It can be a real pain in the butt. The camera kind of freaks out, but let's do the best we can. So here on the hood, first off, hopefully you can see that little mark right there. Now what this actually is a little sanding mark. If I come over here, hopefully you guys will be able to see this, but we have a little paint imperfection right there. So that was a little dust nib. And what they do with those at the factory is quickly sand those down to get that dust out of there, but they didn't fully polish it out. So we do, unfortunately, have a little bit of a sanding mark right in there. We'll be able to easily touch that up. Now here on the front bumper, surprisingly, it looks actually quite decent. But if I zoom in here, you can see some quite deep scratches and gouges going on there. And then this entire edge has been probably brushed up against. You can see a little scratch down there all the way on that edge. It just needs a little bit of love, but nothing too severe. Now for the front bumper, I gotta say, this one looks actually quite decent, except for the sides. These are always areas, you know, whether it's when the trucks get delivered and people are brushing up against these, whatever it may be, they do come with some defects. So here you can see quite a large scratch. Again, I do apologize. This is very hard to get on camera. Scratch there and some more scratches down here in this particular area. None of the stuff that I've seen on this car are so concerning that it's going to be stuff we can't get out. It's just general wear and tear on this on a brand new vehicle. I know it sounds crazy, but just trust me on this. I've been doing this for 10 years. Of course, here on the handles, we have a few scratches. It's a little bit hard to see, as I can see one big one right in there. Camera's not picking it up whatsoever. In person, it's very apparent. You can see some scuffing going on in here, right there to the left of the light, and of course, right above the door handle. I'm actually surprised on this side, just a few minor little scratches. You can see one right there from putting in the new sunroof, but nothing too severe. Now down here we have quite a large scratch. You can definitely pick that up. That goes right above this tape line. Boom, right there. That one's a little bit deeper, but I think, yeah, you can really see it in the light right there. We'll definitely be able to get that out, no problemo. Now, back here, this is an interesting one. Something definitely got dragged on here. So you can see large scuff all the way down. Probably, I don't even know what, maybe when they were actually installing the bumper there, not quite sure. Back here on the charge port door, this is how they all come from the factory. Very scratched up, lots of polishing residue and marks on them. Not looking ideal there. We'll get those dialed in. Now back here on the trunk, some interesting stuff going on, to say the least, and that would be in the case of water spotting. If I can get the light right here, you can definitely see it. It's all over the bumper here as well. Wow, look at those water spots. Those are quite heavily etched. Normally, if those were quite light, those would have wiped away within the washing cycle. Moving up here on top of the trunk lid, some really heavy scratching going on there. You can see some scratching right around the carbon. Not looking ideal, but we'll definitely get that dialed in. So same thing going on this side. Lots of scratches, some residue going on. Typical stuff. Over here, you can definitely see, wow, this actually seems to pick up quite a bit better in 2X, but you can see some scuff marks, some scratches going on there. Same thing happening in this particular area. It's really funny how I orientate this, and it looks completely different. Down here on the passenger side door, some quite large scratches there, probably from getting in and out of the vehicle. And then on the door handle right there, some really heavy scratching. Those will have to be very heavily compounded to get out. Now, probably one of the worst areas is this little spot up here. I'm not exactly sure what it is, except for, maybe that can be actually probably the adhesive when they put on the new sunroof. That doesn't look great, so hopefully we can get this out. May have to quickly sand that. We'll see how that goes. Hate doing that on an edge. And then some general scratching here. Now, my overall impression, in all honesty, like I said before, pretty darn good here on the Model 3 Performance. My Model 3 Performance, that's actually parked right over there, 10 times worse than this. I had probably 3 or 4 sanding marks, tons of scratches all over it. So I would say this is decent, but still needs some love. So before we keep going any longer, let's get onto this one, get this fully paint corrected, and get this thing dialed in. And here we are, folks, all done with the Model 3 Performance, and it looks absolutely stunning now. Look at the paint, absolutely dripping wet, dripping in gloss. Thrilled with how this thing came out. Man, what a project this was. Honestly, the paint wasn't too bad, but just, you know, getting to know the new Model 3 Performance was quite fun. Really enjoyed it. And really got to, really understand what this car is all about from a detailing sense, and lots of things learned, especially on areas like the wheels. But let me show you here what the paint turned out like. Absolutely crystal clear. Nothing in there. Looks absolutely stunning. Couldn't be happier with how that turned out. The stealth gray is a little interesting. I would say it's more on the hard side of paints compared to, you know, previous Teslas, especially non-metallic black is just amazingly soft. Like literally when I do a compound on these, I traditionally use some sort of polish, because if you use a really heavy, strong compound, it just mars the paint up like crazy. Then you're fighting it, trying to get it refined at the end of it. It's a real pain in the butt. But man, this thing is absolutely glowing right now, especially inside as well. Now the new rear ends are, I would say, a little bit of a pain in the butt, especially this area. It doesn't show it as much on camera, but well, there it does. You can see how contoured that is in there, especially up in this area. Makes it really challenging to, you know, get a polisher in there. And especially with the spoiler, the performance is a lot trickier. These taillights are a real pain in the butt. They're very soft plastic, as usual, of course. But that's how they came out. Absolutely thrilled with the results there. So a few things I want to touch on. Diffuser down here. All I did was just use the normal paint coating that I do. It doesn't turn it super shiny. That is Geon Infinite Base Type 1, which is all on the paint here. Absolutely love this coating. It is a certified pro level only coating, but as you guys saw in the video, it goes on super easy. So all the satin black trim around here also gets coated in the same, the door handles, and even areas like these, the turn signal indicators on the side and cameras, as well as the whole front splitter. And you can't even tell that there's a coating on there. It doesn't make it shiny, doesn't make it streaky, exactly what I want it to look like. So I would say one of the biggest challenges on this is the new wheels. The new wheels are kind of a pain in the butt to work with, but I got these things dialed in and man, do they look nice. All the suspension under there, it's hard to see. You guys saw a little bit of a clip of that, cleaning all that up. The reason these wheels are a little bit of an issue is these aero covers. So I originally talked to the owner of this Model 3 Performance and he said, hey, I want to remove the big inserts. When I did that, on one of the wheels, I pulled one of them off and just scratched the heck out of the wheel. Tesla needs to make a better way to take off aero covers. Now, the kind of frustrating thing is if you take these out, they have two large holes. You can really see them from the back where those clip in. Now, one thing that's good is the aero covers don't really come off easily, so I guess that's a good thing, but it's really a pain in the butt for people who don't want to run them. And then on top of that, these click quite a bit. So Brandon Tesla Flex on his Model 3 Performance, he was moving it in and out of the shop when it was over here, and you could just hear the entire wheel. Every time it would go around, it would just click, 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 click as it would turn. So that's a little bit annoying, I would say, as well. What else here? Interior. Let's run through this real quick. So interior, what we did on the seats is the same video that I did on Brandon's seats. So clean them up. I'm actually using a new cleaner. I may make a full video on it. It's called Geon Leather Cleaner Natural, and it seems to be kind of aimed at this vegan leather material. This was my first time using it. Very good cleaner, a little bit intensive, but not crazy, if you will. Interior in these are looking absolutely awesome. Really starting to like this huge white piece in the new Model 3 Performance, especially once you're sitting inside. The ambient lighting, of course, looks really cool as well. But the bucket seats really make it look amazing. And now they're all protected. So I used Geon Leather Shield Evo on there. You guys saw a few clips of that. Pretty thrilled with how that came out. Same here in the back seat. So all of this was coated, the whole bench seat back here. I do have the seats moved all the way back if you're curious, but yeah, looking absolutely fantastic. Now all the door jambs, this is something that I always take a lot of pride in, and an area where a lot of detailers really struggle with, and that's just getting everything in here. So I just put a light sealant on this. You can go in and ceramic coat it. The issue is trying to get a ceramic coating in all these hinges is next to near impossible. You can get it on there, but you can't get it off. Then you've got a bunch of high spots, can't really polish in there, so it's a pain in the butt. So I've just kind of gone and did a sealant on there, and I find that to be really nice. One thing I do want to make note of in the new Model 3, this entire area here is all carpet, and I'm already seeing wear on that side where it's kind of fraying the carpet. I'm curious to see, you know, in a year when people have 30, 40,000 miles on these cars, what these kind of areas are going to look like. This is on the rear wheel drives, on the all wheel drives, and on the Performance here. I kind of prefer this to the plastic, but I'm curious to see how that carpet's going to wear. Tesla is not known for making the best carpets ever. But yeah, nonetheless, this thing, my God, this paint is just like, it's so deep now. The Stealth Gray really looks nice when it's done. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully it was a fun one and not too terribly long for you guys. Some of you love the long ones, some of you don't. If you don't like the long ones, go watch TikTok, go watch short form. This is where we get into the detailed nerdiness, but man, this thing, just standing back here, thrilled with the results. If you're interested in having your car done professionally by me, reach out to me either at cleardetailing.com or shoot me an email at colton@outofspecstudios.com. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one soon. Keep your cars clean. Bye-bye.